Capturing the beauty of humans and the moments that life gives us is what Marisa Kimmel, with her camera, has dedicated her photography to. Finding comfort with her camera through self-portraits that helped her find self-love, Marisa redefined beauty for herself and for all who see her. And losing her hair to alopecia and losing her breasts to a double mastectomy due to a BRCA genetic mutation, she found self-awareness and self-acceptance for a new, beautiful version of herself.
Let's begin by talking about firsts. So after losing all of your hair to alopecia, you bought your first camera. Mm-hmm. So it was your self-portraits that helped you find self-love. I wonder if you could share how your photography helped you heal.
Yeah, so shortly after I had cut off all my hair when I was 19 when I finally cut it all off. I probably had like 40% of it left. It's like, okay, it's time. And my boyfriend then actually brought his barber stuff home. He was in school to be a barber, and I went in the bathroom by myself. I cut it off, and he shaved my head. And then that following year, we moved to Chicago when we were 20, and I ran into a photographer, and he had asked to take my picture, and no one had ever. I mean, I come from a small town, and so no one's really asking you to be in front of a camera, especially not a stranger. No one really talks to you like that. But I had met with him, and he was kind of explaining to me on how photography could be healing in some aspects, because I had told him a little bit about my alopecia story, and I'm very new to feeling comfortable in a way without hair. Mm-hmm. So it's very vulnerable for me to get in front of his camera. He'd be like, okay, like, you are a stranger, and here I am, like, just unveiling something that's so personal to me. And yeah, he suggested that photography and taking pictures of myself could be therapeutic in a way. I was like, okay. And so then I bought a camera. It's like, let me try. And I still have like those first photos of myself, like figuring out not only my camera settings, because I've never picked up a camera before then, but also really looking at myself. And it's different when someone else is taking a photo of you, because you really don't see that photo until you see their end product. Like, they put their touch on the photo, and then they're kind of like a little bit of a photo. But when you're taking your own photo, you really see so much of yourself. And so it was like the first step of me really looking and seeing the outside of who I was. And yeah, that was the first step of. So photography for me, it's so much more than just photos. It's a way to get into like a deeper part of yourself, and it's something.
Well, and like to your point, to be able to see yourself, like, but to really see, not just with your eyes, but to but through photography that way. So in speaking about your photography, because you're an incredible photographer.
Thank you.
You mentioned this. You say, "Trust me when I say, in front of my camera is such a safe place to be." And I love this. Some people hate being on camera, like me, but and they fear it. So I guess my next question is, how is it that you help people, the people you photograph? How do you help them to feel safe?
I think because I know what it feels like to be in front of a camera, and I still put myself in front of a camera. And when I am having those hard to love myself days, it's the first place that I go. It's like, even if it's just with my phone, or if I do set up my tripod and my camera, and I because I can trust that has always brought me like back to myself. And when you do push through like that hard, uncomfortable stuff, like on the other side of that, like, it's always like the freedom. And so I put myself through that, and it was hard, but like on the other side, like I'm here. Like, I made it on the other side of that vulnerability, and even just saying yes to that first photographer and letting him like photograph me.
Yeah.
Like, if I would have been too scared and held myself back, maybe eventually I would have gotten here, but it might have taken so much longer and so much more energy and time from feeling most like myself. And
Yeah.
and so I think it's when I have other people in front of my camera, kind of validate that their feelings are 100% real, and we all feel them. But I promise, like, the photos, if you're not going to love them today or tomorrow, 10, 20 years from now, you're going to be grateful that you have those photos, because you know, our memories can only hold so much, but the photos, like, you can at least like have those. You don't have to stare at yourself all day long, but good to have.
They are good to have, for sure. So let's switch gears a little bit. So with your BRCA genetic mutation, your chance of breast cancer went up to 80%.
Yeah.
So, resulting in a double mastectomy. My next question is, what was your first reaction when you looked at your reflection in the mirror?
Yes. So before my surgery, I had talked with a close friend who is a photographer, and I mentioned to her how important it was for me to document. And even though it was going to be hard and emotional, that I trust myself. I know that I'm going to want these photos and to have them captured. And so I had her photograph the day before my surgery. And that was the last time that I breastfed my son, was the day before. So she was there for that. And then the day after my surgery, she had come back. And when I first looked in the mirror, and it was just me in the bathroom, and she was like on the outside, but she was photographing that moment, and me by myself again. And it felt very similar to when I had first cut off all my hair. When I was 19, I was in the bathroom by myself and putting all my hair up, and like taking that deep breath and waiting for the relief that back then I didn't know what that was going to feel like. But I knew this time around how much lighter I was about to feel. And so she photographed like me taking off the bandages, and me just looking like at myself for the first time. And of course, like I cry at everything. It doesn't matter if I'm happy or sad, there's gonna be tears. But again, just tears of relief and gratitude.
A lot of emotion.
Because when I had alopecia, and I was at that point where like I wanted to cut all my hair off, it wasn't out of strength. It's like more out of fear. Because I had tried. everything to try to accept myself and love myself, to fix myself. And just none of it was working. So I'm like, my last option that I had like given myself was to cut it all off, to like try again and to start from nothing. Because I felt like I was nothing. And so it's so sad that something like alopecia like brought me down to the very bottom, where I couldn't imagine making it to 20 years old. Like I didn't see any future like for myself. What that looked like in any capacity, having a family, a career, a baby. Like I had no plans. And so this time when I was taking off my bandages from my mastectomy and looking in the mirror, there was just a different Marisa. And so that first time when I cut all my hair off and I just had that little bit of fearful trust in myself, this time around, it was all trust. I had worked so hard to stop trying to search for like outside validation. It was just all me. So it was just another layer of finding like the most freedom that I'm worthy of having. So yeah, it was very emotional, clearly.
Clearly.
Yeah. So it was, yeah, lots layered in there. In those photos, I feel like you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah, it's hard to get my words out. I feel like they're all up there, but when I get them out, I'm like, hopefully they're coming out in a way that makes any sense.
Absolute sense.
Okay.
Absolute sense. So there was your personal reaction after the mastectomy. Your husband, your son, what was that like?
So right after my friend had photographed me taking off my bandages, I also was able to shower. But I wasn't able to like lift my arms yet, and so my husband, like, he was there to help me cut off all my hair. He was there to like help me wash my head and wash my face, and that was the first time that he saw me without any boobs, like a body very different than what he had seen since we were 19 years old. My body has shifted many times throughout pregnancy, postpartum, and then this change. And my husband has always felt like a safe person to me, and so there wasn't any part of me that felt like he could have voiced if he felt any different or any concerns, anything like that, but it was all, we're both very, it is what it is, and we work with what we got. So yeah, very grateful to have someone like that, where I have emotions galore, and so he is just a very safe person. And my son Abraham, he is just an angel. I don't we don't really have to say anything to him, and he can just feel the energy like in the room, and he's always just like wanting to love me. And yeah, we explained that he was like 2.5 then, but leading up to my surgery, every time I would feed him, I would explain how it's getting towards the end, and he could not really communicate that well.
Right.
But I was so nervous that he would take it so hard, and he didn't. I was just like, okay, on to the next phase of him being a toddler and getting nutrients from other foods instead of me. So yeah, it was a very easy transition. I feel like.
Well, and the fact that you say with your husband, the first thing you said, safe. He's been safe for you, and I think that's so key. To be able to navigate these kinds of things. So here's the thing. For many, when they hear the term beautiful woman, they think, okay, long flowing hair, big breasts, all of this comes to mind. That said, we know that beauty comes in all forms, like your form. I will confess that you are one of the most beautiful women I have seen. And no hair, no breasts, incredibly beautiful. I see your beauty, so many people see your beauty. My question is, after what you lost, how long did it take you to look in the mirror and to see your beauty?
I think if you were to ask me that 5 years ago, my answer would be, very different. Since you're asking me today, my outside appearance is the last thing that I think about when I think about someone or myself being beautiful. So when I look at myself, I do want to love my outside appearance, and I do what I can to make myself feel most comfortable. The outsides, it doesn't really cross my mind in that way of having hair looking a certain way to be beautiful, or having hair at all, or makeup, the way that you dress, the way that your body looks, all of that. Beautiful isn't those things to me. If you would have asked me a few years ago, I would have been like, oh yeah, I need to have my body to look a certain way, or my skin, makeup, and my hair was gone then, but I would have wanted the most shaved head. I would have been wanting perfection, and that is made up entirely, and this whole world profits off of us hating ourselves. And so I try to give as little energy to that whole concept, because it really is, it's ever changing. I mean, as soon as we get to that next beauty standard look, they're like, oh, just kidding, changed, because that's the way it goes.
Right.
So if we spend our entire lives trying to reach, unattainable image, we're gonna waste our entire lives trying to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if there's some days where I do not feel comfortable in myself, I will not look at myself. It's as easy as that. Okay, look at yourself a little bit less, and then come back tomorrow and try again. the world puts enough pressure on ourselves. Like, already we can give ourselves a break. Like, it's, yeah, I don't remember your actual question. I feel like
when you saw yourself as beautiful, the way I see you, the way that so many people see.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel like whenever I show up exactly as myself, and I feel, I don't know, just like Marisa, like there's the outside's really, I don't. They're not important to me, and even when I meet anyone, like that is the last thing I am looking at. Like, yeah. So there's very little thoughts given to beauty. I don't know.
Well, and you know, it's I mean, when I said the photo that Phil took of you is the first time I saw you. But in that photo, what I saw wasn't just shapes and lines and colors and these kinds of things. It was an energy about you. It was something, a light about you. There was something, I think photos can do that. I think
they can.
There's something that can be seen beyond like a surface level element. You know, let's talk about this entitled Epsody, pronounced Epsody. This award-winning film, 4 minutes, 39 seconds, beautifully and boldly captures your journey. It's a journey of sacrifice, of redefining beauty, reclaiming your identity as a woman, as a mother. My favorite lines were these: I feel like I'm only becoming the best version of myself. I'm just moving more into who I'm supposed to be. Again, lost your hair, lost your breasts, beautiful, you remain inside and out. Marisa, from everything that you lost and all of that, what is it that you gained? What was the win?
I feel like I gained my entire life. Yeah, losing those things. You know, maybe in the moment I felt like I was losing a lot. I had gained such a beautiful perspective of how I want to spend my days and where I want to spend my time and my energy. Was actually important to me, and we've only got so much time. Like, I'm lucky that I didn't let alopecia take me, because it was very close. And then with my BRCA diagnosis, I had the opportunity and the privilege to control something that, I mean, 80% chance of getting breast cancer. It's pretty high. But to let go of my breast, like in exchange of maybe being able to live longer, it just makes sense to me. Yeah, so I haven't lost anything. Like, I look back on my entire 30 years of life. Every single moment has led me to right here. Like, the more that I learn to trust myself and to stop asking for anyone else's opinions on how I should live my life, just the more free I've become.
So yeah, gaining the perspective, beautiful perspective, and to your point, control over a situation, to be able to say, there's something I can do, and so much that we can't control in this world and in our lives, to say, well, this is one thing I can control. So let's close this way with your words. I love your personal statement that reads this way: I create to remind us that we're all different, and that's a beautiful thing. So my last question for you today, Marisa, is for those who don't feel they're beautiful because they're different, what advice would you give them?
I'd say that the world can only give you so many reminders, but it's like inner work that needs to happen. Like you need to look deeper into yourself, and I feel like the more that we do that individually, the more we stop searching for that outside validation that it's all made up at the end of the day. So if we're just able to make our own standards of whatever beautiful looks like to us, like, I feel like we'll live a life of less feeling like we're not enough. Yeah, so it really all starts with just yourself. Trust yourself, and that's the first person that you should be looking for opinions from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is some good advice. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your incredible story, for sharing your light and your energy here in conversation with me today. Thank you for helping all of us become a bit more aware now. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.